Welcome back, Art Tips, Art Tips. Welcome back. Now today we're just gonna kind of continue on with our series on brushes and what they do. And I've drawn this really cool little design right here out of pencil. I just kind of sketched a pencil design right here just to have something to follow. Main thing you want to do is always be prepared. Have your brushes handy, have a blotter handy, have your painter's palette loaded with the paint you want to use, have a water cup, okay? Also have on a apron if you need to protect your clothes. So I have this design sketched out on here with graphite, and I'm just going to use the different various paint brushes that we already have gone over with the different types of marks that they can make. And I'm going to fill this in. I'm going to color this with a lot of different colors of paint. So it's just going to be some abstract design just to get some experience, just to play around with the brushes and different paints. Now when you start talking about paint, you can go straight from the tube. I keep all my paint in bottles. I get it in bulk, so I just keep all my paint in these kinds of bottles and stuff. So I just I'm going to put an arrangement of different paints on my two palettes here. My two styrofoam palettes, and then we're going to get started with just kind of creating this funky psychedelic design on the piece of paper here. First thing, white is your friend. White paint, white acrylic paint is your friend, because all these other hues, colors, i.e. hues, colors equals hues, hues equal color, means the same thing. So all of these hues here are pretty transparent with the exception of the black. They're really, really transparent. And so this is titanium white right here. And titanium white, when mixed with different colors, makes it more opaque. You don't want to see through your colors. If you do want to see through your colors, if you're doing a transparent drawing, that's fine. Or painting, that's fine if you want to see through some of them. But if you don't want to see through some of them, you have to add a little bit of white. Just a note though. If you add titanium white to red, you're going to get pink. So what you want to do when you want to use red and you want it to be the brightest red that it can be, you either do it on straight white paper or you paint some white on the surface before you put it into the red. Okay, it's going to turn a little pink. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to go ahead and start with my small Filbert. Okay, it has the cut off, chipped off sides right there. Now I'm going to start off with the larger Phillips. Has a little chipped off sides on each side. All right, because I want to start here, and I'm just going to select the colors. Just as all random, just all random. So I want to go with this deep yellow. I need to add some white to it. Bring that over there. My brush is already a little moist and hydrated, so I'm good. It doesn't need to be really wet. We're not doing a watercolor. This is an acrylic painting. So of course you see that my paint got a little bit brighter, and that's okay because I can go back over it again with just pure deep yellow once I'm done with this layer of it. If you want it darker, you can always wait for it to dry a little bit and then you can go back over it. So now I'm painting it in and it's all nice and smooth. See how I'm curving my lines, my edges with this really nice Filbert brush? It's really hugging the edges. Really nice. And you can stay inside the lines. Oops. A little bit on the outside. Turn it on the side if you need to get into a smaller spot. I'm going to come back in there with my angle and clean it up. My angle brush. So we're going to go ahead and fill this. Continue to fill this part in. Again, I like to turn my sheet when I'm in a situation. Ooh, and you guys can probably see my head, huh? And my glasses. Hey. Turn your brush and try to keep it within the boundaries of your design. And this is really cool. Smooth it in. Turn your paper so that your pull on your brush is going in a direction that's comfortable for your arm and your hand, and it makes sense for your shape that you're filling in. Ooh, I was able to get that point in, that corner in without my angle brush. So now I'm going to grab the angle brush real quick and finish off this point here. Now if you're really skilled at this stuff, you might not have to change brushes so often. So now I have my large yellow space painted in. Clear off the brush. So now I'm going to pick another color. I think I want to go with like a purple back here. I'm going to go with a purple in the back. So I'm going to grab my purple. Here's my purple. And I'm going to put a little bit on this palette over here. I'm going to grab some white with, I'm going to use the flat brush for this part because it's more angular. So I'm going to grab some white. Maybe you could use a smaller flat brush. And I'm going to mix it with this purple. Like I said, some of these paints are really transparent. There are paints on the market that have a little bit more pigment in there and they stay nice and bright, are nice and deep toned. Mine just lightened up way too much. So I'm going to grab some more violet, put it on my palette, and mix it into part of that so it can be a little bit darker. I made it a little bit too bright. The titanium white is pretty strong. So here we go. Put this in here. And these are really kind of like pastel colors that's happening. So I'm using my flat side to fill in this more of a rectilinear type of shape here. Oops. And if you need to move to a different brush, when this one gets too big for the area, you just move over to a different brush. It's your painting, it's your time at your table or your easel. You can do it the way you want. Utilize your flat side of your brush. Utilize your thin side for thin line application. So now I'm going to rinse this one off and get my angle brush to kind of get into some of these tight spots here. Kind of like when you paint in a wall, when you have to get up in the corners, they have what's called an angle liner brush for painters, and that's what they use to get the ceiling and the wall corners done nice and clean. But I'm not a wall painter, so I do my best with this whole keeping it clean thing. All right, here we go. All right, so now I like that. So it's nice and clean. Now I can smooth this out a little bit more. Once this layer dries, I can put another layer on top and make it nice and clean and opaque. Oh, I forgot one section over here. I'm just going to go ahead and use the angle brush for that one. And this is just a demonstration of how you use these different brushes in different areas of your painting to be more effective. Use your corners. Oops, a little bit too much paint on that one. All right, here we go. So that part's going to be done for right now. And then what I'm going to do is decide on what color I want right here. What color should I put? How about a blue? I'm going to go with the blue. Got my blue here. I don't want ultramarine. I'll go with phthalo blue. It's more like a denim type deep blue. Shake them up. Sometimes you have to shake these paints up because they separate. The plastic stuff in there separates from the pigment, and you have like a layer of clear stuff coming out of your tubes. So sometimes when you're working with these, when I fill up using large quantities of paint into these tubes right here, sometimes they separate. So now I have my phthalo blue, and right in here I'm going to put that. And I'm just going to go ahead and use the angle brush because I got it in my hand. And I want to make sure I get a nice tight pull up the edge just to get started with. Sometimes I like to do my edges first. Sometimes I like to do my center. It just depends on my day. Oops. What did I do? What did I do? Oh, here we go. So another note, if you hold your brush this way to paint with, sometimes you scrape the paint off. If you lay it down, sometimes, oops, that didn't work. That worked just the opposite. Sometimes when you lay it down, the paint is able to grab onto your surface and stay better, like this right here. So I'm laying it down more than holding it straight up. So you can see it's giving me a nice feel here. I love the paint. It's so cathartic. It's just like putting icing on a cake and then you eat it. But you can't eat this. So I am going with the phthalo blue here. And phthalo blue is a really, really strong paint. It has a lot of dye in it. A lot of strong pigment in here. Okay, now it looks a little bit uneven, but it's okay because we could always go back in once that layer dries to improve the surface quality. So now what I'm going to put around the side over here is black. I want to put black right here. Don't ask me why. I don't know why I chose this set of colors and why I organized it the way I did, but I did. And guess what? I'm using this angle brush quite a bit. As you can see, it's really comfortable to use, and since I am doing a design that has to have these strategic edges, this crafter's brush and this angled crafter's brush, I just screwed that up, huh? This angled crafter's brush just fits right in just real nice. So like I said, you choose your weapon for your projects, and you're gonna know with practice which ones are going to be better for whatever you're doing. And I like this a lot. Again, never try to get into your acrylic paint with a straight out dry brush. You have to moisten the bristles a little bit. You don't want it drippy because you don't want your paint to run. But you need the emotion in that paint to glide over your paper or canvas if you're using a canvas. I'm using Bristol paper because it can take a lot of punishment. And if your brush seems to be getting too dry as you work, it's okay to just give yourself a little dip and then kind of dab off some of that fluid, because you don't want your brush to be too dry. So you can get back in there and go get a little bit of a dip of water on there. Now, okay, so now I need to decide what else I want to do with this piece. But anyway, as you can see, I pretty much used that angle brush for quite a bit of it. I used that one. I did not use this one, the round brush. It looks pointy, but it's really called round. So these three brushes are the ones that I pretty much use with this design. Okay, so that's an art tip. Remember, Make sure your brushes are moist, not drippy. Not drippy, just moist. So dry it off a little bit. Also, use white to blend in with certain colors so that it's more non-transparent. You want them to be opaque and so you can't see through them. But if you're working with a transparent project, then it doesn't matter if you put too much white in that. So let's see, what else can we do? I'm going to go back to my angle brush and I'm going to get some fresh violet and go back over this violet area. Hopefully I can darken it just a little bit with some violet. Just a little bit. Yeah, not giving me it. Layers and layers and layers is going to get it darker and darker. Or you can add some blue to some red and create a new purple. Ooh, let's do that next. Okay. So it's getting a little darker. It just takes time with some of these pigments. Some of these pigments don't want to cooperate. So, white is your friend, water is your friend. Angle brush is also my friend today. So that concludes our art tips with this project, and we'll see you next time. Art tips.